Hi, Dr. Rangelova.
Yes, come in.
To my high school to talk to us about sex. And I just wanted to ask you a couple questions.
Of course, my dear. What's your name?
Betty,
It's very nice to meet you, Betty.
you talked in your research about how the normative age for sex is 16. And I'm 16, and some of my friends have been experimenting sexually, and I think they're ready to try too. You also said that people who were sexually experienced on time had better well-being. And so since I'm 16 and the normative age for sex is 16, shouldn't I be having sex right now? I mean, you in your paper, like it says right here, you're really highlighting these benefits of having sex. And I feel like a lot of people always focus on these negative ideas of sex and how it can lead to pregnancy and STIs, but I don't feel like no one's really focused on these positive factors. Like, I've heard things that it can be good for your self-esteem, and in here you kind of talk about how it leads to healthier relationships in the future. So to me, it really seems like I should be having sex right now, and I don't want to be judged by my parents, because a lot of the time they kind of weigh in on these decisions and they say it's inappropriate. But your paper seems like it's different. Like, can you explain it a bit more to me?
You're quite right, Betty. So, sexual relationships in adolescence has been related to higher self-esteem, as well as higher life satisfaction and social connectedness with their peers. And yes, you're also right with relationships later down the road, because having sexual relationships in adolescence can serve as a practice for relationships later.
Many of these positive benefits that you've been saying, then why is research so focused on these negative ideas?
So the problem with adolescence and sex is something, have you heard of the term called personal fable?
No, I haven't.
So this is the idea that teenagers have this idea that they're somehow invincible and that things don't apply to them. So this is no exception when it comes to sexual behavior. So teens have the idea that things like teen pregnancy and STIs won't happen to them, and so they're more likely to engage in risky behavior when it comes to sex. So I think this is the reason why so many people look down on it, because teens don't know what they're getting themselves into. Friends and they're doing research, Dr. Surovich and Dr. Green, they found that people, even with knowledge of HIV, still were unlikely to use condoms or be abstinent from sex. And so they found that it was actually the attitude towards risky behavior that predicted if people were to use condoms or not. And so this goes along with the personal fable, because junior and high school students, although having the same knowledge as college students about HIV, were much less likely to use condoms or to abstain from sex.
There's a lot of information that I've never really thought of, and it's really nice to know that I shouldn't necessarily feel ashamed, and that it's pretty normal, and that research has kind of supported this idea that it helps adolescents develop.
So as long as you know that there are risks involved, sexual exploration is a normative and healthy process during adolescence. So that being said, take one of these.